Hey, howdy friends, welcome back to the channel. MrAyrit here. This is, I think, a special review, okay? So I am value-minded. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you'll know that. I don't mind spending on audio gear, but I prefer to have very high bang for buck stuff. Case in point, KNRU6, right? This is my new favorite DAC. I've got two of them. Okay, so I can use one down here at my main setup, and I can use one either take it to work with me or use it at my bedside table. So $200 R2R. Link down below to the review and description. Love this thing. Okay, I really like this because I thought it did a lot of the things well that I liked about my Socris. That was like a $1,300 DAC or something along those lines, okay? So high value, right? So what do you pair it with? That's been kind of my driving question here as I'm hunting, especially for like a second system, right? My system down here at my desk, a lot of times I'm changing gear out, testing things. A lot of stuff comes and goes. Up by my bed, I do a little more testing, but I need a little more mainstay there as far as like what do I want to keep there that's good enough that I have to go to without breaking the bank. So this video is about my ultimate $700 system, and I think for the money this system would be very, very difficult to beat. I'm not saying there aren't as good or better systems for you out there. There very well could be, okay? But for me, I think this is what I've come across, my best $700 system, okay? So we've got the KNRU6, that's my DAC, all right? The headphones and Energizer are the Stax SRM 252S, okay? And the SRL 300, okay? Now, these, I think you can buy them as like a bundle, or at some point you could, right? I ended up just happening to luck across, like somebody wanted to trade me the Energizer. I didn't have any Stax headphones to go with it at the time, but I was like, oh, okay, eventually I want to try some Stax, so it was a decent trade. I took it, hoping that I would, find a set of Stax that came along. So I traded something maybe $200 for the Energizer. And then the headphones I was able to pick up down the road for about, I think $250. Now, that's a pretty good price for these things, like $450 for the total. But there was a problem with mine, like one of the yokes on the headphone is broken, like the little plastic piece broke off. So that's my issue. But even with that little annoyance, gosh, I love these things. I love them so much. They are phenomenally detailed, do incredible spatial information, and have a surprising amount of bass and a pretty decent timbre to them. So let's dig into these guys. We'll look at the build of them, which, if you know anything about these cheaper Stax, is not great. And then we'll dig a little more into sound. All right. So, and I'll tell you just like why they work for me. Okay, so Energizer. There's not a ton to talk about with the Energizer. It's small. It's like pretty shockingly small. Okay, so definitely like your typical $100 amps, like from Schiit or the Liquid Spark or any of that stuff. It's about the same size. Atom, it's pretty similar to that. Okay, you've got the Stax, right? I don't know what you call that thing, but whatever. It's the Stax plug that has the 5 plugs on it, goes in there. So, you can adapt, I think, like some types of electrostatic headphones to use this, but I mean, I don't really know much about electrostats. I've only tried this, and I had the 95X from Koss and Drop for a little while, okay? Volume knob, only one. You don't have the weird dual balance knob that like the ESP 9500 or whatever had on it. Just the one, which I appreciate. It clicks on and off, as you turn it. Round the back, you've got just RCA ins and RCA outs, and then the power, which I'm not gonna mess with grabbing it, but it's
It's a big fat wall wart with a little skinny cord that comes into this, okay? So it's a pretty simple little unit, nice and compact. Again, good for bedside table or a small desk if you don't have a lot of desk space. Now the headphones, right, there's suspension strap system. The suspension strap is like maybe like a suede type material. It's got slides up and down. They don't really click here or anything like that, but they stay in place just fine. It's plastic, and that's, I mean, it doesn't feel great to use it. You can see mine are a little scuffed up and things like that, but and so plastic yokes, all this, just all plastic, okay? The yokes, you can pop them off, like they come off pretty easily, so you can, I could replace this headband with one that was fixed for like $75, but honestly, like it really doesn't mess with me when I'm listening to it, okay? So they feel fine. I find them pretty comfortable. They're very lightweight. I maybe wish the pads were like a little bit deeper, but I think that you can, I'm pretty sure that you can swap in the other model pads, which maybe are a little bit cushier, so I might try that down the road a little bit here. And then of course you've got the cable, can't be detached. It's pretty long. It's maybe, I don't know, 7 feet, 7 feet long, a little bit longer than I would like it to be, but it works. It's the flat, ribbon style cable, which is kind of weird, and I don't know, I don't really love it, but I guess it just kind of is what it is, you know what I mean? So all in all, the build, I'm just not impressed with it all. I mean, it doesn't help the fact that mine came broken, but I knew that going into it, okay? So the build doesn't really inspire confidence, but that being said, I haven't really babied them either since I've had them, and, I haven't had any issues with them. I haven't been covering them with like a dust cover and stuff like that. I know some people do. I don't want to mess with it. So yeah, that's the build. It's not great, but the comfort is good. So in the end, it's fine for what it is. If you consider that, like, if the Energizer is worth $250 and the headphones are worth $250, it's probably not as durable as like a Sennheiser headphone, but it's probably like similar in build quality as far as like the plasticky feel of it, okay? But sound is really where this thing blows me away. I mean, I do have several headphones in like the $200 to $300 range that I really like. Specifically, the 660S and the OG Nighthawks are some of my kind of favorites around that like $200 mark. And then you figure, okay, well, you got to spend money on an amplifier, so that's another couple $100. So you kind of get in the same ballpark here, right? Is what I'm alluding to. But I think for the money, like this setup for $450 plus, a nice stack, whether it's the KNRU6 or something else, boy, I don't know that much competes with it. I just don't know. I don't think so. It is fast. It is detailed. The spatial information is excellent. The vocals, sometimes electrostats, I hear about them having like a little tinny or plasticky kind of timbre. Maybe there's just a smidge of that here, but not very much at all. Definitely not very much at all. The bass is probably what surprised me most about these, because the cost system, the 95X, it was very bass light. Now that doesn't usually bother me too much, but I mean on that one it was kind of to the extreme. I wouldn't call this headphone bass light at all. I think the bass on this is right where I want it to be. It's punchy, it's textured, it's not bloaty. It's not the most resolving or textured bass, I've heard, but for the price, it's pretty darn good. And just the clarity of the overall system is just phenomenal for the price. So I just think it's just an extremely high value system right here, and I love a high value system. Types of music that it does really well with. I mean, I didn't find anything that I didn't like with it, but just so you know, I listen to a lot of acoustic stuff, a lot of folk music, singer-songwriter type stuff, and that just plays beautifully with this. Live recordings, beautiful on this. I mean, I listen to a lot of classic rock and stuff too, and that's totally fine on here. Again, I think because it's got that bass punch to it, like that stuff can be quite enjoyable as well. So I think it's a good, for the money, I think it's a good all-arounder. I mean, you could do better if you want to specialize or want heavy bass, or you want, vocal focus, or if you want, you know, more soundstage and things like that. But really, I think just a good all-around system right here for under $700. Now, the catch is that they're not really widely available, right? So I'll link to some similar things on eBay, but it looks like most of them are around $500 and they come from Japan. So if you're not opposed to that, and you haven't, if you're curious about electrostats, I would definitely recommend, if you can find a set like this for $500 for the Energizer and the headphones, I'd totally go for it. I mean, I think this is going to be a mainstay for me for quite a while here, just because it's such a high value mark. I mean, even listening to amps that are way more expensive, with like the 8XX, which is itself like a $700-ish headphones. Boy, I think this is close. I mean, I do think that the 8XX beats this with, a good amp, but again, it's not a lot. It's not by a huge margin, I wouldn't say. So I've been really impressed, and it makes me want to try some more Stax stuff. So I'm just blown away, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a better system than these components together for around $700. There may be an argument that you could make for plugging like a Focal straight into the RU6. You might be able to make an argument. You could probably get an Alex and an RU6 and come in under this price, and that'd be a more versatile system in that you could move around more with it and things like that, whereas you're pretty much locked into sitting right next to it. So I could see people leaning other ways for other reasons, but man, this is good though. It is good, definitely worth a shot. If you come across them and you see a good deal on them, I wouldn't hesitate. It's definitely perked my interest in more electrostatic stuff. So very impressed. So yeah, glowing review. I love them. I think they're a great value. And like I said, that's a lot of what I'm about here. That's really what gets me excited, is when I find a very high value item, and I feel like I've got that here. So yeah, I hope you like it. Questions, comments, alternative opinions, drop those down below. As always, I thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.